Well, boy, I tell you, if you want a close shave, by the way, apparently Nick Khan is the man because he's cutting and slashing prices to the bone up there at the WWE, releasing a bunch of people, letting a bunch of people go, administrating the company like Hollywood, as we mentioned on your show. What's the name of that show again? The Drive-Thru a couple days ago.
Technically, yeah. Jim Cornette's Drive-Thru is the name of the show.
We talked about all of the people that have, been mistreated or there's bad blood or ill will, or they just want to get the hell out of there and they're being allowed to go and let go and administrative issues. But also just the way that, do you not take it that Nick Khan, and you've said this all along, that he wants to, get the thing ready to sell to some multi-billion-dollar conglomerate, and they'll have theme parks and goddamn, to give it the Disney World treatment. But he's treating this like a Hollywood studio where you can just replace actors, where you just open for business, we'll deal with anybody, blah, blah, blah. He's had some other comments, which you're going to read. I'm going to let you in a second. But, this guy might be good for show business, but it's still at the heart of it, wrestling. And does he know what the fuck he's doing? I wonder.
I think he absolutely knows what he's doing as an agent and a deal maker. As an executive, time will tell.
In a wrestling company.
Well, even beyond that, just
he's a great executive. As an executive at a wrestling company, don't you think time will tell?
Well, even beyond that, I think, I look at agents as almost like a separate thing. And a lot of the times when agents in sports or entertainment transition into working for a real company, it doesn't always go great. So far, it's going really well for him. But it's not always an easy transition. The Mets had a general manager who was the agent for some of the star players. It did not go well for 2 years. Mike Ovitz was the most successful agent of his time. He went to Disney. It's an epic disaster what happened there. Right away, he got his balls cut off, and he never recovered. It's always difficult, but an agent is an agent. They're about relationships and deals. That's it. I believe Nick Khan is there for a specific reason, because he's getting WWE, or they're getting WWE geared up for a sale. I said a long time back, I thought there would be a big stock buyback. There was a stock buyback, not a big one. We'll see what happens, but I think this is all about setting it up for a sale. And before I even get to the quotes you're talking about, because this ends up being referenced and I guess kind of walked back in a sense, Nick Khan was recently on an episode of the Recode Media Show. I don't know what that is. And they asked him about the rumors of WWE being up for sale.
I think that's sponsored by Codecademy.
I don't know about that. It's a different kind of code, I think. But he was asked about the rumors of a sale, and his quote was, "We're open for business on anything and everything. Even some of the business plans that we've announced recently are different and unique to what the company has traditionally done. We're open for business. If somebody called, we'll listen. But we're not active or out on the marketplace trying to change that structure." And let me just stop right there. There's no CEO or president of a company that's going to go, "Yes, buy us, please. We are absolutely out there. We want you to please come in here and buy us." No, he's being coy, but you'll read between the lines.
Please buy us.
You could see what he's saying there. Also, here's another quote from that interview. He does not believe he will be the main person running the company if Vince McMahon steps down. Quote, "I don't think Vince has any plans, nor, in my opinion, should he, of stepping aside." Another ass kisser. Of stepping aside. He's 75. He'll be 76 in a couple of weeks. He's healthy. He's strong. Maybe he goes another 50 years, and you'll be asking me this in 49 years. Two answers right there to tell you a little bit about who Nick Khan is.
But also, he obviously, I can get when he says, "I don't think Vince has any plans of stepping aside, nor should he." That can cover that quite nicely with, he's still the boss without going into, he's going to live another 50 years. I think that may be optimistic or pessimistic, whichever side of the fence you're on.
I've seen his face. He ain't living another 50 years.
But, well, now, wait a minute. We don't know what part of him may be able to be, transplanted into another body, or he's a billionaire now. Maybe he's got some experiments going. He said in an interview one time, I can't remember if it was the big Playboy interview or whatever it was, but where he said, I will die a very frustrated man because there'll be so many things left to do. I'm sure he's been looking for a way around that. So maybe there's a robot body the brain will be transplanted into. Nevertheless, point is, Nick Khan sounds like a guy that also doesn't plan to be in the wrestling business for the rest of his life by that answer. Because he very carefully didn't answer, are you going to be the guy to run the company? No, Vince shouldn't step down. Do you honestly think that he has got the dream? I've always wanted to be in the wrestling business. No, as soon as they do whatever they are going to do that Nick Khan was brought in for, whether it's trim the budget and make the thing run like a Hollywood studio, or sell it, or turn it completely into Holiday on Ice in the wrestling ring, or whatever, then don't you think he's on to some greener pasture, something else?
Here's the other thing. He wasn't just an agent. He was their agent. And they asked him to be the president of the company. If you were going to sell the company, who else would you ask to be the president of the company? He's the agent. He's the guy who's done all their deals. He knows all their deals inside and out. He's there for a specific reason. Why else would they approach their agent, who they have a fantastic relationship with, he's doing a great job, and say, we want you to stop doing that, but come over here and help us with all these other departments, including the creative, which is a fucking mess. But no, he's not helping out with creative, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's a reason he is there, and they're going to have to convince me otherwise. I've been saying it since before he was hired for that position. They're gearing up for a sale.
What else was he commenting on?
So after the interview I quoted to you earlier, he was on another show, I don't know the name of the show, BT Sport, with Ariel Helwani, who's also getting some criticism because a lot of people are saying that he's now become a little bit of a WWE kiss ass on his interviews, but we'll see what happens there. The quote from Ariel Helwani was, I heard you on the Recode podcast. You mentioned that we're open for business. I take calls. I'm not actively pursuing anything. I take calls. And the theory is that they want to sell. They want to sell. What does open for business mean? And Nick Khan's response? So here's what I mean by that. And by the way, on the Recode podcast, as a couple of the producers referred to in that building, this is your building apparently. They say, this is he's kissing Ariel Helwani's ass. Where's the fucking answer here?
He's kissing Ariel Helwani's ass.
The whole fucking paragraph here. And by the way, these transcriptions are courtesy of the good people over at PW Insider Elite, Dave Shearer, Mike Johnson. They do a great job. Check them out, pwinsiderelite.com.
Yeah, these transcriptions are not their fault because these people actually say these things.
That's right.
So,
couple of things. The number one, I want to say we're open for business. That means if somebody credible calls on anything, NFT, trading cards, international rights, we take the call. We're inherently salespeople, meaning we're sort of like, no, we don't want to talk to this company because we think they're X. If you call and you want to pitch us something and you're credible coming, we're going to hear the pitch. We're an entrepreneurial company that Vince and others built over the last 35 years or so. And we always want to stay fresh and entrepreneurial in our minds. When I say open for business, if somebody calls, credible, asking, hey, are you guys for sale? It's, what's your offer? What are you thinking? We're not trying to sell it. That's not our intent. There are no internal meetings about selling the company. The internal meetings are about growing it. And the ability that we think we collectively have to tremendously grow the value of the company is now. And there is a quote.
Boy, he is an agent, isn't he?
And then he goes back to playing games with Ariel Helwani here in this section, yes.
So basically, he says, well, if Justin Credible calls us and wants to buy the WWE, you can twist our arm and we'll let Justin Credible buy the WWE.
We are not for sale. However, if Brian Roberts from Comcast gets on the phone, we'll say, yeah, how much you thinking? What are you talking about? And then as soon as we hang up, we'll jump up and down and have a couple of drinks. Read between the lines. This guy's telling you everything.
And again, I have to be in the camp of the great Brian Last. I'm following your sage business advice there. I believe he's trying to say, people, we're over here. We'll take your call. I'm on the phone all the time.
Yo, by the way, this guy, he did the Recode interview. He did this Ariel Helwani interview. Why all of a sudden is he on a press tour? Why all of a sudden is the WWE president doing multiple interviews? What's the point of that? What is the point you're trying to get across with that?
Well, I'm just a small town bird lawyer,